it's been a long time since we've
A
spoken.
long time, many years, I think. About
2011.
11.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
If you look behind me, you see that's the cemetery in Gunzenhausen.
Yeah.
You had taken me there.
Yeah, Treuchtlingen. Treuchtlingen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember. Mm-hmm. I see Diane Bauer.
Yeah.
Hello. Aha.
Guten Tag.
You sent me mail. Oh, Sie sprechen Deutsch?
Ja, ich verstehe.
Oh, wie schön. Good.
Ja.
And Nathaniel, Frau Levy, Susanna Levy, nimmt teil.
She's gonna be at 6, I think, and she will talk after you. You will be the first, and then she will talk after you.
Okay.
Okay. Here's my mother joining us. You see, Tammy Micheli is my mother, Emmy. You will say hello to my mother in a few seconds.
Yeah, I remember from the Rothschild meeting.
Yeah, you remember her.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just 2 weeks ago, yeah? 2 weeks ago. Okay, people are joining us.
כתוב לי מיוט. זה לא מוחלט איפה זה.
Oh, Leslie.
Last week I gave a lecture through Zoom, so I learned how to deal with that. You know, if someone has an open microphone, I have to mute him, you know, otherwise there's a lot of noise. But he will start. Hello, Leslie, how are you?
Hi, Nathana.
How are you, Leslie?
Hi, Leslie.
Wow.
Schön. Jetzt haben wir es.
אמא, לא רואים אותך, תפתחי את המצלמה ואת המיקרופון. Okay, who joined more?
What happened?
Martin, okay, Martin is also from Germany. Martin Meyer is with us also.
Really? Oh,
Yeah?
yeah.
I see on the screen.
I see, yeah. Good. Moment.
Oops.
Emmy, where are you speaking from in Germany?
I'm here in Gunzenhausen.
Ah, okay.
Your name is in Hebrew?
Well, no, it's my son's name, but my family name is Walls, and we were in Gunzenhausen for hundreds of years.
Yeah, Walz.
Yep, Walz.
Yeah.
And Guten Sonntag in Gunzenhausen.
And your father is Hugo Walz?
No, actually, Hugo Waltz was the brother of my grandfather, Solomon Waltz. Solomon and Babette, Solomon and Hugo were brothers.
Ah, Solomon, yeah, I remember. Solomon,
yeah, and his son, Bernard, was my father.
Bernhard, yeah.
Somebody came from Gunzenhausen to visit my father and my aunt in Brooklyn in the 1990s.
Yeah, Franz Müller.
Correct.
Yeah. Nathaniel, you remember Franz Müller?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
He's going to be with us to this meeting?
Yeah.
He's going to join, okay.
Yeah.
Morning. He was the principal of your school, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's part of this project, yeah? He's really pushing this project and part of this project.
Richtig.
Okay, I will welcome him when we start.
Yeah.
And the second mayor will speak also, yeah?
Yeah,
What's
Peter
his
Schnell.
name? Mr. Peter Schnell, his name? Schnell.
Yeah, Peter Schnell.
Okay.
Emmy, you're speaking from, you work in the mayor's office?
No, I'm at home. I'm at home.
No, I'm saying you work, what do you do in Gunzenhausen?
I will say it in some minutes, okay, for all.
Ah, okay.
Is it okay?
It's okay.
Hello,
It's
Walter.
it's my nature to ask a lot of questions because I'm a journalist by profession.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So you can write an article about this meeting, yeah?
Well, it will add to my historical files for sure, because I've been doing a lot of research myself.
Mhm. Hello,
Aber Sie
Walter.
sind jetzt in Ruhestand, gell, Emmy?
Yeah, yeah. A few years. Mm-hmm.
Abby,
Yeah.
hello, Abby. Welcome,
Hi,
Abby.
Natalia.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Ah,
I'm fine.
Hello.
We'll wait for Shula, yeah?
oh, I see Walter Stoll.
Yeah, and
Hello.
David.
Oh, wie schön.
Hi.
Ah, and your son.
Right.
Sehr schön.
Hi, Emmy.
Oh, Moment. Wer ist das?
Faye.
Faye, you open your camera,
Ah.
Faye. Open your camera.
Open your
my
camera, Mrs.
camera.
Brooks.
Everyone open the camera. Ima, גם תפתחי
I'm
את
not quite
המצלמה.
sure how to do that.
Martin, open your camera also. Carol,
Good.
James.
Oh,
Here's Carol, hello.
how
Can
do
you
we
see
write
me?
in the name of our family? Like Walter put it, Thielheimer.
Yeah, he's the only one who did it according to instructions, yeah?
I'm a
The
good
only
German.
I
Yeah, he's
know.
the only one.
Yeah, except I just can't figure it out how to do it.
Okay, next time we'll have a special lecture about how to open Zoom.
Oh, wait, it says
Also,
rename.
people from
Upper right-hand corner.
This person here is from
Where do I
teacher
do
from
it?
Gunzenhausen. That's her.
Okay.
Hello, France also. You can open your camera.
Mute audio. I'm not quite sure how to open my camera.
In the upper right-hand corner, there will be, click on the little menu and it'll give you options of things to do
Okay, upper right-hand corner.
of your screen.
Hello, France.
Not of the whole
Hello,
screen, of
Hazel.
your
Settings,
picture.
virtual background.
Hello, Ima, my mother.
James Strauss. I see James.
There we go.
Hello.
Hello, Faye.
Hi, Kara.
Where is your wife?
And I wanted.
בני. אוי, את לא רואים
Hello,
אותי.
Judith. I see you also.
אתה פה, אבל לא רואים אותך.
Donna. Donna and
David, I'm not quite sure what I've done wrong.
Yura.
Fine.
Hello, Shula. Open your camera also. Martin, if you want to open your camera. יואב, גם תפתח את המצלמה. אליין קלרמן.
I'm Faye. מה המצלמה של Faye? Ah, there's Faye. Faye Brooks.
Okay. Yay!
Faye Brooks, you knew my aunt. You knew my aunt, the Irene Stern, the Stern family, Irene Wall Stern.
Ah, oh yes, I did. I went to her house. I
Correct.
had her linen.
Hi, Faye.
But I didn't know which one.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Good today.
בני, תפתח את המצלמה.
Okay, everyone open your cameras. And we will start in 1 minute time.
Hi. Hello?
Ima, תורידי את
Hi,
המסכה.
Natan. This is Frank Mecklenburg, Leo Beck Institute.
Okay, hello, Frank. Nice to meet you.
Okay, I'm just listening in.
Okay,
Talk
you
later.
Yeah, but
be a good listener.
Yeah.
Is it unmuted?
Hi, Benny.
Fine. Do you see me?
Hello, Aaron. Hello, Aaron Kellerman.
Susie, who are you with?
Hello, Susie.
Hi, I'm
Hello,
with
Matthias.
my
Hello,
friend.
Steve.
Your friend what?
I'm Sunny DeWitt. And my son Ralph is with me.
Terrific.
Okay.
We can't see him.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Stu. Hello, everyone. Even though
Hi.
it's 6 o'clock
Ralph,
now,
Ralph,
and we
put
should
your face
start.
in front of the camera.
Okay, just a minute.
Now we can see you.
Yeah, I go in there. I'm kind of a shy guy.
Hello, everyone. Even though it's now 6 o'clock, we'll wait another 2-3 minutes because more people are joining. For now, we are already 47 people joining this special and historical meeting. So I'll unmute everyone, and then when we start, I'll mute everyone back, okay? So just a minute.
Everybody unmute.
Okay,
Now it's
so everyone is
unmuted.
unmuted.
Shalom Uri, כמו שולמית.
Samuel Green, Susan Williams, everyone open your cameras.
Oh, yeah.
אתה לא שמעת בעברית, אפשר בעברית.
שלום, אהרון. אהרון? אני פה.
Which one's up here?
Look at all the
I'm on Nancy Kellerman Zombeck.
Hi, Samuel.
Hi, Donna.
Nancy.
Hi.
This is Shula.
Are you? Oh, Diora. Hi,
Oh
Diora.
my God, I haven't
Who's
seen
that?
you
Who's
in
that?
years.
A million years.
Where's your mom?
Wait a minute, where is Nancy?
Right here.
I can't see her face.
Hey, what's happening?
Okay.
Sarah, Queen.
Hey,
Sarah.
Nancy.
Hi. Shula, where do you live now?
Boston.
Oh, wow. Are you still at Brandeis?
I retired.
Uh-huh.
I'm retired.
Both
Okay,
of you?
Shula, personal conversation we'll do later, okay? Now everyone is gathering here. Okay, so I think we will start.
Stanley's name was Rothschild. Well, yeah, Rothschild.
Speak a little bit louder. Can you speak louder?
Okay. Okay, now I'm the only one who's talking. Just say hello that you hear me, yeah? Okay, you all hear me. This meeting is recorded, so anyone who's will want to watch after that, don't worry. Thank you very much for everyone for joining us this special meeting. During the meeting, we'll have everyone on mute, and each one who wants to speak or to talk will unmute himself, and then we'll hear him. Please, everyone, open your cameras so we can see you all. We have some people who are still with cameras closed, so if they know how to open it, that will be great. For now, we are already 58 people already on this special meeting. My name is Netanel. I'm the one who sent you all the emails in the last 1 or 2 weeks. I live in a place called Efrat, not far from Jerusalem, 10 minutes from Jerusalem. My mother is also here, and a lot of cousins and second cousins, all of them from Rothschild family. My great-grandfather, Karl Rothschild, was one of the physicians, of the Jewish physicians in Gunzenhausen, and he left in 1935 to Munich, to München. In 1939, he came to England to take my grandmother, Helen Hannah. They both moved to Boston, and they lived in Boston for these years. My grandmother immigrated to Israel in 1949, and she died 6 years ago. So I'm very excited to open this historical meeting. Someone is sharing the screen. I'll mute that. Okay. I think we all are excited. We can feel in these seconds this special gathering, this historical gathering. It's Gunzenhausen Jewish community. Is the last Jew left Gunzenhausen in 1939, in January. And we're going to have his granddaughter talking to us in a few minutes. And now the Gunzenhausen Jewish community is gathering together because of the Zoom, because of the Corona, and a lot because of Amy Hetzner and Franz Muller, that they both, and all the students, yeah, we can clap hands. I can unmute you and we can clap hands. Just a minute, just a minute. Okay, unmute. Now you can clap your hands.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello? Can you
These
hear me?
parts are not planned, you know, it's the unplanned parts of this meeting.
I have
The
students
most
from
nice parts.
Gunzenhausen watching. Go
So,
No, you
we
didn't.
are
I saw
gathering,
it.
just a minute. We are gathering for this special meeting. We don't know what's going to be in the future. We know what we planned for this meeting. And we have some agenda for this meeting. Few people will speak in the beginning, Emmy and also Susie Levy, Susie Reader. And when we're going to have a short memorial ceremony. And then the second mayor of Gunzenhausen going to speak some words for us. I hope he's here with us. I don't know. We'll see in a minute. And then we'll let us know each other. Each one will have a short 2 or 3 minutes to talk about himself and his ancestors in Gunzenhausen. So I want to start with Emmy, Mrs. Emmy Hetzner. It's our honor to host you. It's all because of you. I received the email list from you, and we all know, I think, we all know the website, the special website that symbolize all the projects that you did for all the last, I don't know, 10 or 20 years or more than that. So please, Mrs. Emmy Hetzner, it's your turn to speak. Come on.
Emmy Hetzner, that's me. I'm glad to see you all. I've been a teacher in Gunzenhausen, you know, for many years. And together with my headmaster, Franz Müller, and together with my students, we have been researching the history of the Jewish families who lived in this town at the beginning of the Third Reich. Your ancestors, your relatives. We traced the houses where they lived, where they worked, who their neighbors were, and that made it very personal for our young people and also for us. I retired a few years ago, and I'm blessed that young colleagues at my school will continue work on this project. Some of them are here today, I hope. I didn't see them. We got great help from our archivist, Werner Mühlhäuser, whom many of you know well. And without the help of Horst Schäfer, our IT expert, we wouldn't be able to put our findings online. Many of you know Leslie Loy. She translated the texts on the website into English for you. And she is there as a translator when Jewish visitors come. Just like Ingeborg Herrmann, who many of you also know, I think. She works in the town hall as an assistant to the mayor. She helps you if you're planning a visit to Gunzenhausen. She organizes a city tour for you and your meeting with the mayor. I think you all know the website we have created together, especially with your help, for which I'm very grateful to you. You have opened your family archives for us. You have sent us photos, old ones, current ones, so that the students could write down many family histories. When reading the facts, they were often horrified. The fate of every single person moved us enormously. I should also tell you that many contemporary witnesses who lived here have helped us. It was important to them to help us. And so you heard so many positive things about Jewish families. And I think you can feel it sometimes when you read the stories. 20 years ago, I didn't know a single Jew. And now I know so many of you. I realized which great and pleasant humans our town has lost. I'm glad about every family, every person that I get to know. I hope we still well on the way to reconciliation. And I think Pastor Matthias Knoch would like to say some words, maybe a little bit later, which are important to all of us. I greet you warmly.
Thank you very much, Emmy, for your warm words. Pastor Matthias will speak later.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I want to say that we are fortunate, I think, to have Shoshana Susie Reader Levy with us. I hope she's here. The last Jew of Gunzenhausen left in January 39, and that's his grandfather, her grandfather. So the granddaughter of him, she lives in Jerusalem. She's 94 years old, and it's a big honor for us to host her. I hope she's here. איילה, את פה? שושנה?
אני פה, אבל לאמא שלי יש איזושהי בעיה, אני לא יודעת אם היא הצליחה כרגע להתחבר.
Okay, but you are not next, את לא לידה? You're not next to her?
לא, אני לא גרה, אני במקום אחר, אני גרה בשילה.
Okay, so who is with her? Someone else? Your sister?
טליה, אחותי, איתה, והיא אמרה שיש איזושהי בעיה, יכול להיות שהיא כבר הצליחה, אני לא יודעת. אתה רואה?
לא, אני לא רואה. Okay, we'll wait a few minutes, maybe Talia, the daughter of Shoshana, she will join us later. We'll check it. Okay, we'll check it. It's supposed to be in a few minutes. Emmy, is Franz Muller with us? Maybe he will introduce himself.
Yes.
I don't see him.
Momental. Franz?
Franz, are you with us?
No, not yet.
Okay, maybe he'll join us later also. So
I saw him at one point. He was on, I think.
He was here?
I saw his name.
Just a minute, let's see. Franz
Müller.
Miller. Okay, I don't know if he hears us. Okay. If not, we'll see him also later.
Maybe later.
Okay. So I think, as far as I know, Shoshana is the only one from first generation. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's here also someone who was born in Gunzenhausen and is from the Jewish community of Gunzenhausen. Is there anyone? I don't know. So as far as I know, Shoshana is the only one, and we are waiting for her to join us. And we'll see if she joins us, we'll let her speak. So for now, we'll do a short ceremony, memorial ceremony, in the memory of all Gunzenhausen Jewish community who were killed in the Holocaust. So I have a memorial candle with me, so anyone who has one also can lit it, okay? So I don't know if we are sure if we have 84 or 92 or 107 Jews from our community that were murdered in the Nazi period of Germany. So there are few versions or few numbers. I can show you a map that Emmy and her students produced. Just a minute. Just a minute. I'll do share screen. If you see this screen I'm showing you now, it's part of Emmy project and the students. Oh, this is not this one, it's the other one. Just a minute, this one, okay. You see where each one of these 84 or 92 or 107 were killed, and the map of Europe. So we have few in Gunzenhausen, 4 Jews, Max, Rosenfelder, Jacob, Seller, Elsa, and Strauss, Simon. We have in Theresienstadt, in Nuremberg, in Dachau, in Auschwitz, in Plasky, in Sobibor, in Majdanek, in Lodz, in Treblinka, in Minsk, in Kaunas, and in Im Osten. So all the different camps that, okay, all the different camps that Jews from our community were murdered. It's a very historical map. And for now, someone told me that Shoshana is with us. Just a minute. Shoshana, are you with us? Shoshana, Talia? Just a minute, let's see. No, I don't see her. Okay. So this is the map of the victims, of the people who were murdered. And now I want to say a Jewish traditional prayer in the memory of all these people who were murdered in the Holocaust. One of them is my grandmother's grandmother, Carolina Rothschild. She's online. Someone is writing to me. Just a minute. Talia, את שומעת אותי? Talia? No, I don't see. Okay, so we go to the ceremony and then we'll see after that if they are part of us. So I'm going to show you the traditional Jewish prayer. I'll show you just a minute. Oh, this is this one. Okay, I'm going to say that in Hebrew at the right side, and you can either join me to say the Hebrew or read in English. I'll say that in Hebrew. El male rachamim, shochen במרומים, עמצה מנוחה נכונה, על כנפי השכינה, למעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, את כל הנשמות של 6 מיליוני היהודים, ובתוכם יהודים מקהילת גונצנהאוזן, חיילי השואה באירופה, שנהרגו, שנשחטו, שנשרפו, ושנספו על קידוש השם, בידי המרצחים הגרמנים ועוזרי משאר העמים. לכן בעל הרחמים, יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותיהם, אדוני הוא נחלתם, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתם, ויעמדו לגורלם לקץ הימים, ונאמר אמן. I think we can read it also in English. God, full of mercy, who dwells in the heights, provide a sure rest upon the divine presence wings, within the range of the holy and the pure, whose shining resemble the skies, all the souls of the 6 million Jews, and in them the souls of the Jews from Gunzenhausen Jewish community, victims of the European Holocaust, were murdered, slaughtered, burnt, and exterminated for the sanctification of the name by the German Nazi assassins and the helpers from the rest of the people. Therefore, the Master of Mercy will protect them forever from behind the hiding of his wings and will tie their souls with the rope of life. The everlasting is their heritage. The Garden of Eden shall be their resting room, and they shall rest peacefully upon their lying place. They will stand for the fate in the end of days, and let us say, Amen. Now we're going to sing a song in Hebrew. Okay, you have the words here. You have the translation in the right side and the Hebrew pronunciation in the left side. It's a very special memorial song written by Hannah Senesh. Hannah Senesh was a paratrooper, a woman paratrooper, and she went to Hungary during the war, during the Second World War. She tried to save some Jews. She was caught by the Hungarian regime and she was killed there. So I'm going to sing this memorial song And by that, we're going to finish this ceremony, this short ceremony. שלא ייגמר לעולם החול והים רישום של המים ורק השמיים תפילת האדם החול והים רישוש של המים ורק השמיים תפילת האדם. Lord, my Lord, may it never end. The sand and the sea, or more of the water, or shine of the sky, the prayer of mankind, the sand and the sea, or more of the water, shine of the sky, the prayer of the man.
נתנאל, אנחנו כאן, אמא שלי כאן.
Okay, so I want to welcome, it's our honor that Shoshana Suzy Reader Levy is with us. She's talking from Jerusalem with Talia, her daughter. And Shoshana is a grandson of the last Jew of Gunzenhausen. Left Gunzenhausen January 39, as I said before. And Shoshana, come on. It's also our pleasure that you will be with us. Now it's your time to talk.
טליה, לא רואים את אימא כל כך.
כן,
תסדרי
טליה,
את
צריך
המצלמה
לפתוח.
יותר טוב.
עכשיו?
יותר טוב, אבל עוד טיפה להגביה שם.
Okay, now.
My name is Shoshana Reader.
Talia, 1 minute. Shoshana, 1 minute. We want to see you. Talia, תפתחי את המצלמה. תפתחי את המצלמה יותר טוב, שיראו אותה יותר טוב, שיראו את הפנים.
אני לא רואים את הפנים?
קצת להוריד.
I was born in Gunzenhausen in 1925, when everything was still normal. We were 4 children, 3 girls and 1 boy. My father was born in Mannheim, and when he married my mother, he came to live in Gunzenhausen. Before my father married, he was 4 years in the German army in the First World War. We had a very big synagogue, and my father was very musical and very often liked to be a chazan. We had a Jewish school with 8 classes, with 1 teacher in the same room. I remember my best friend. I remember my best friend in the class, Trude Gerst. And they left for United States after us. Another friend of mine also came to Israel. Her name was Bianca Levy, who lived in Haifa. We met sometimes in the summer holidays. When I was 10 years old, Hitler came to be the head of the government. and our lives changed. There were many incidents against the Jews. Once I was sitting in front of our house in Burgstallstraße. A German boy on his bicycle ran over me and my face was wounded and bleeding terribly. Dr. Rothschild, a Jewish doctor, treated me as best as possible. But very soon, he was not allowed to work anymore as a doctor. So he left Gunzenhausen for München. And German doctors didn't treat us Jews, and we had nobody who would treat us. Also, I remember one Shabbat, our family went out for a walk, and a German boy called us stinking Jews. My father slapped his face, and then a German man arrived and said, "How dare you touch an Aryan boy?" And then my father opened his coat and showed him the medal he received as a soldier in the German army in the First World War. One terrible night, many of the Germans went into the Jewish houses and took out the Jewish men and took them to prison and killed 2 or 3 of them. When the men wanted to go into our house, where also my grandfather lived, somebody shouted from the outside not to take my grandfather, whose name was Josef Seeberger, because he is a good man. One day, my father went to the municipality in Gunzenhausen, and one of the staff there advised my father to leave Gunzenhausen because there are new laws against the Jews. When the men wanted to go into our house, in 1935, my father went to Eretz Israel, where 2 of his brothers were already in the country. When he came back to Germany, they took his German citizenship. In 1937, we finally got a certificate to come to Eretz Israel. Since then, I'm living in Jerusalem, and Baruch Hashem, I have 3 children, 12 grandchildren, and more than 30 great-grandchildren. Thank you.
I think we can all clap hands to Shoshana.
כל הכבוד, אמא.
Okay. I'll unmute all also. Okay. So thank you very much to Shoshana. It's our great pleasure to have you with us. It's also symbolic that your grandfather was the last one who left Gunzenhausen, and you are the representative of the generation that lived and was born in Gunzenhausen. And it's an amazing historical event that we can talk to you, and we all wish you a lot of years happiness, and enjoy your children, have big nachas, as you say in Yiddish. Now I want to invite the second mayor of Gunzenhausen today, Mr. Peter Schnell, to share with us some words and to say a few sentences about the town today. So please open your microphone, and we all want to hear from you. Just a minute. Where are you? Amy, you can help me, or where is the second mayor? You have to open your microphone.
I've just seen him, but now he's away.
Yeah, I saw him also.
Yeah. Peter?
Peter with us?
At the moment? None. No.
Okay. Maybe so you can check, maybe you call him, you can check, and we will get on. So now I want to invite Pastor Matthias Knoch. Is with us. He's a pastor in Gunzenhausen. Matthias, you hear me?
Yes, everything all right?
Okay, so now you open your microphone, and we are with you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and that you have arranged this meeting. In my eyes, it's a great fruit from the continuing work from Emmy Hetzner and Franz Müller. And when I touched this work by my daughter, as she was a student of Emmy, I got aware that gradually they tried to clean up the destroyed and damaged and spoiled garden. And I thought it should be possible to plant new plants in this garden, plants of maybe meeting again, of reconciliation, plants that would go to the future of Shalom. And I didn't succeed. And then I was aware there is no chance just to say we want to plant new plants. There is something in between. And this is the crimes my ancestors had done to your ancestors. And crimes used to keep crimes. And there is only one way, and this is what I want to do. I want to ask you for forgiveness, every one of you, for that what our ancestors, what my people has done to your people and to your ancestors. And there is something we have to commemorate the crimes that had happened, because to commemorate is a way of resistance. But we come to you with empty hands. We don't have something else than to ask you for forgiveness, and maybe that then the one from the Ha'olam would plant new seeds of future and shalom in our relation. And this is something I'm hoping for. I'm very thankful that actually Nathaniel took over the heritage of Emmy Hetzner. And very thankful and grateful that I and me may be with you this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your honest words that comes from the heart. We hear that, and I think words are coming from the heart are also coming into the hearts. So thank you very much, Pastor Matthias, to be with us this meeting. Is Franz Müller, Emmy? Franz Müller is with us. Just introduce himself.
Moment. Open the microphone. Maybe he's here. He's here. Franz?
I can open the mic of everyone.
This woman begged them to come. No way. So they came to Brooklyn. They flew from Germany, from America, and visited them in Brooklyn.
I don't see him.
Okay. So we go on. I want to show you a map of all the people who were saved from the Gunzenhausen community. Just a minute, show a map, just a minute. Share screen. So you can see this map. It's also part of Emmy's project. You see where people moved from Gunzenhausen to different places around the world. You have Israel, you have India, even India, you have Hungary, Switzerland, Belgium, Sweden, France, England, Netherlands, Argentina, Chile, Brazil, South Africa, of course, New York, Canada. So this is the story of our community. You can see now a map, and we are also from different places around the world in this meeting. So this map also represents the spread of where the Jewish community of Gunzenhausen descendants, where were the spread around the world. So when we go now to the second part of this meeting, so people will know one each other, and we asked 3 questions, yeah? Where are you from? What are your connection to Gunzenhausen? And the first one that I want to invite is my mother's first cousin, Professor Shula Reinhardt from Boston. And she visited Gunzenhausen at least once or twice. And she will share with us some of her thoughts or feelings. So Shula, bevakasha, just open your microphone. Where are you, Shula?
Is it now on mute?
Yeah, now it's okay. Now we hear you.
Okay. I just want to say, Netanel, before I say a few words, that I sent you a video. Did you receive it?
Yeah.
Can we show any of it?
I can try to show some part of it, just a minute, but you start to talk and then I'll...
Well, the reason I wanted to do it is that if there's somebody who has not been with Emmy and her students on a tour of Gunzenhausen and has not met Franz Müller, it shows you what that is, who Franz Müller is and what he has to say, and what it is like to be with Emmy's students. That's why I brought it. Okay, so my name is Shula or Shulamit Reinhardt. I am not the pastor. And I live in Boston, Massachusetts, USA, and I am the first grandchild of Dr. Carl Rothschild, whom Shoshana mentioned, was a doctor who fixed her face after she was run over by a child. And his wife, Tekla. Tekla died in Gunzenhausen, and one of my hopes is to set up a new memorial for her in the cemetery because the one that was there was destroyed. My father loved Gunzenhausen until it turned into a place that didn't love him. And he had to leave anyhow, and he first went to Munich, and then he went on Hachshara, which is a Zionist organization in Elgut in Germany, and then from there he went to Buchenwald after Kristallnacht, and then went to Holland, where Zionists got him a job. He hid in Holland from August 16th, 1942 to May 5th, 1945, which is almost 3 full years completely in hiding. I was born in Holland, and I grew up in the United States, and I became a professor of sociology and women's studies and Jewish studies at Brandeis University in Boston. I am married. I have 2 daughters and 2 grandchildren. My father wrote a memoir when he was 60 years old, and he saved all the letters he wrote and he received. And I took all that information, and I have almost finished writing a book about my father. And when Netanel asked me to say a few words, he asked me to say what my father thought about Gunzenhausen. So I have a little bit to read here from his memoirs. Should I do that, Netanel?
Yes, but shortly, yes, short.
Sure. You tell me when to stop.
Okay.
So my father wrote, I'm going to read it the way he wrote it. I want to speak about my origins, about my parents and my ancestors, and then about Gunzenhausen, the place of my birth, Jewish Gunzenhausen, and General Gunzenhausen, the traces of which, as some of my more sarcastic friends say, I have never been able to shed, meaning he was always a Gunzenhauser. And of course, I want to speak about my father. Father was a young physician when he married Mamiya. Right after the end of World War I, he came from Schluchtern in Hessen, an old town about the size of Gunzenhausen, but with a rather large Jewish community. His own father, my grandfather Isaac, lives there in Schluchtern with grandmother Caroline. I think that Schluchtern was the home of all of our male ancestors, at least for 1 century, if not longer. They were dealers in skins and hides, small, honest people. In Gunzenhausen, father was well liked as a physician, despite the fact that he was a Jew. He was popular because he was a good and conscientious doctor who never refused going to someone's house and who treated the town's poor for nothing. The clearest evidence of the esteem in which my father was held, my father wrote, by the townspeople came during our first pogrom, when there were quite a number of people who wanted to protect him, just like in Shulamit's, Shoshana's father. Some of his more devoted patients gathered in front of the town prison where all the Jewish men were held overnight in what was called protective custody, and demanded that my Opa be released. And he was one of the first to be freed. And then my father tells the story about how his father came to Gunzenhausen, which I will not read, but I want to read to you the end of this little section. He says, actually, I never got to see much of father because he was terribly busy, always on the go during my early years. He was a general practitioner in a small town who at the time had to do everything. He had, because there were no specialists and no medical technicians. So he delivered babies. And in fact, one of the most painful things was that he delivered the babies who killed the Jews. He practiced and he mended fractures. He practiced with children that had a speech defect, and he pulled teeth. In his instrument cabinet, there were several types of forceps for tooth extractions, which he once explained to me. And people came to him with all their problems. They wanted to have him help them with a quarrel in a family over money, or a husband and a wife who couldn't get along. Father's offices were located in the house, downstairs. There was a general waiting room with plenty of chairs, tables, magazines, and on one of the walls there hung a beautifully illuminated copy of Maimonides, that's Rambam's morning prayer of a physician, the prayer that a physician should say every morning. There was also a small collection of folk sayings that were framed, and one of which my father wrote still sticks in my mind. Sprich von deinem Leiden nicht hier in Warteszimmer, sollt es auch von anderen nicht, sonst wird nur noch schlimmer. In English, that is, don't talk about your complaints here in this waiting room and don't allow others to do so because it will only get worse. And that's the end of what I will read here today.
Okay, so thank you for Shula. I'll try now to show part of the film that's from Shula's visit to Gunzenhausen.
That's Herr Muller.
Yeah.
There's no sound, Nathanael.
Was weiß ich noch von ihm? Und das ist alles konkret, anschaulich in Gunzenhausen erlebbar und nachvollziehbar. Das ist ganz wichtig für uns, das Wissen.
It gives us a great pleasure to welcome you here in Gunzenhausen, a town of your ancestors. Your grandparents lived in this house when they arrived in Gunzenhausen as a young couple in 1990. Karl had his first doctor's practice here. At the same time, another Jewish family was living there, the Weizmanners, and there were many Jewish neighbors around.
Okay, so this is, I will send you all, anyone who wants, all this movie that Shula made, is 45 minutes from the visit of Gunzenhausen. We saw just 2 parts, but there's a whole big film that you can, movie that you can get. I'll send you by email. I think now we should move to know what each another. So we have.
Herr Mueller is on the line now if you wanted him.
Okay, but I don't see I think his camera is closed. Franz Muller, do you want to open your camera? Because I see his name, but I don't see his face. I think the camera is closed. I don't know if he knows how to open it. So Franz, we welcome you to this meeting. I hope you hear us. And if you will be able to open the camera, we'll say hello. Okay. So I wrote down some of the names. Anyone wrote me email. So we'll begin from these names, and afterwards, other people who want to share and to introduce themselves, you are more than welcome. So the first one is Franza Schiller from Berlin. Where are you, Franza? Franza Schiller from Berlin. I saw you. Just open your microphone. I can open you also. Okay, I open your camera.
Okay.
Just a minute.
Hi.
Hello, Franza.
Hi, I'm Franza. I'm actually from Nuremberg, and I lived about until I was 55 without knowing that my grandfather, who was born in Gunzenhausen, and he is Ludwig Bergmann. And I discovered my grandfather through the website of the school of Emmy Hetzner. And finally, we could trace relatives in New York because my grandfather had escaped to New York in Britain. And Anthony is also in the community here. He also helped me to find these other descendants of my grandfather. So for about 5 years, I know now that I have cousins in New York. So that was very exciting for me. Thank you for the school website that enriched my family. And this is my husband, Konrad. He's a journalist for a big German national newspaper. And he's now very interested again to follow the story. And also what I wanted to say, yes, I live now for 20 years in Berlin. And what else? My grandfather lived in Nürnberger Straße in Gunzenhausen, Nürnberger Straße 17. And I went there in 2015 and looked around. And yeah, and I would very much like to meet you all one day. So maybe we can arrange one or the other meeting, and that would be great.
May I ask Franca a question?
Yes.
Could I ask you a question, Franca?
Yes.
My father had very good friends with the name Lou Bergman.
Lou Bergman?
Yes.
And
do you know him? What? He lived in New York.
New York, really? Okay. My cousins are Casey and Nicole Bergman, and they live in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Personal interactions, we'll have everyone emails, so we'll have time for that later. Thank you very much for Franza, regards to Berlin. And now we go on to Dana Arditi. Dana, where are you? Open your microphone. Dana?
Opening the microphone.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm sitting here with my brother Giora, and on another screen, my other brother Benny, And on another screen, my second cousin Samuel. On another screen, my second cousin, my first cousin, sorry. Samuel is third cousin, Hazel. Hi, Hazel, second cousin. So we're all a big family here. We found each other many years ago, thanks to the fact that our my mother and Hazel's mother remained in contact all the time and all the years. We three brothers are descendants of the Rosenfelder und Lehmann Familie of Marktplatz 48, Marktplatz 48. Our grandmother Mina Lehmann and our father Sigmund Rosenfelder got married, and they had two daughters, Franziska, my mother, and another daughter by the name of Lotte. Her children will probably be on the next conversation that we have. They all immigrated to Israel, all created families. We all are married, and all in all, on our side, Franziska Rosenfelder, if she were alive, she would have had 10 great-grandchildren.
Visited Gunzenhausen.
We visited Gunzenhausen in 1969, but at the time, there was no project and we had no contact with anybody there. Hopefully, we'll return someday together to see the place and the people. And thank you very much, Nathaniel, for organizing this. Made us really happy. We have a lot of information and a lot of memories, but this is not the time and place. So, auf Wiedersehen.
Okay, thank you very much, Dana, and all your big family that is with us today. And from Dana, we'll move to Kellerman family. We have at least two I saw. So I want to invite Aaron or Uri, Aaron Kellerman, Professor Aaron Kellerman, to introduce himself and his family. He's part family of the Rothschild family also. So Aaron Kellerman, open your microphone.
Microphone is open. I'm called after my grandfather, Aaron Kellerman, who was born in Gunzenhausen and left town very early, much before the Nazis came to power. At the end of the 19th century or early 20th century, he moved to Nuremberg upon his marriage to Miriam Grünbaum. My cousin Uri Kellerman is much familiar with the history of the family in town, so I prefer that he will tell more on that.
Okay, Uri, you can join us. Uri,
our grandfather, Seligman Pinchas Kellerman, lived in Gunzenhausen together with his brother Max Kellerman in Marktplatz 40. Today is there a big shop at Müller. Our grandfather Aaron was, as Aaron said, was born in Gunzenhausen and then left to Nuremberg. There he married our grandmother Miriam Grünbaum from Schwabach. Alan, put the picture of the house. You see the picture of Marktplatz 40. Dr. Karl Rothschild was a cousin of our grandfather, so that the family lived together in Gunzenhausen. We visited Gunzenhausen several times. With 8 of our children, with grandchildren, and with my sister and our cousin Alan and Elaine. And so we were very familiar with Emmy Hetzner. We met also the pupils of the class which did the work, and were very impressed by them.
Okay. Thank you very much, Uri. That was from Israel. And you are both talking from Israel, yeah? Uri and Aaron.
Okay, we live today in North Ayalon, Israel. We have 9 children scattered all over the country, and of course, grandchildren and grandchildren.
Thank you very much, Uri. And now we'll move to Steve Waltz. Are you with us, Steve? If yes, just open your microphone.
Hello, everyone. I'm beginning to understand all of the connections here because it's very fascinating as the son of Bernard Walls and the grandson of Solomon Walls, who also was a decorated officer in the German army in World War I. Solomon Walls and his brother Hugo Walls that family lived in Germany for at least 400 years because I have a family tree that goes back far then. They left Germany very late in 1939 as well, after my grandfather Solomon, of who I am named after, was thrown into Dachau, and he was able to get out of Dachau, and they were very wealthy cattle ranchers. The Walls family was a very wealthy family, and I'm sure they knew many of the people that I see on the screen here, including all these people I see here are amazing. They made it, they went the long way through Russia, Korea, Japan, and arrived in New York on Sukkot sometime in 1940. And they lived in Washington Heights. And from Washington Heights in Upper Manhattan, my brother and I moved to different parts. My brother moved to Queens. I moved to Brooklyn from Manhattan. And then I moved to Israel 2 months before 9/11 to Modi'in in Israel. I have something in common with Franca's husband. I am a very well-known journalist who also has been published in many places, and I deal with the German media in my capacity now as the spokesperson for Sheba Medical Center, which is considered one of the world's top 10 hospitals and has been in the news media a lot. It was in the New York Times on Friday for all of our advanced technologies. For me, I've done a lot of research on my family, and only in the past few years have I discovered, and we're not on the map in America, by the way, Netanel, but I've discovered what you've discovered, that we lost several of members of the family in Theresienstadt and in Auschwitz, and it's difficult to do this type of research. I know that Emmy reached out to my family when they lived in Brooklyn, and my aunt Irene Stern Walls, they visited them in Brooklyn. My family never really wanted to tell everything about what happened in Gunzenhausen, but I'm aware of some of the stories that have been repeated here today, and I am sure that some of us will reunite through those stories, and I hope that this continues. This is a fascinating adventure and only could be made possible through a historical situation that we live in now through the wonders of Zoom.
Yeah, we all have to thank Zoom for all these special meetings.
Yes, and I'm doing Zoom almost every day through webinars and press conferences. So for me, it's second nature already.
Okay, so thank you very much for Steve. I want to invite now Walter Stoll to share with us his story. So Walter, open your microphone.
Hi, I'm Walter Stoll. I'm the son of Bella Teilheimer and the grandson of Rosa and Gustav Teilheimer, who lived on Brunnenstrasse number 6. And I'm the great-grandson of Weiss Nathan Waldmann and Regina Steiner, who lived at Enholzstrasse number 6. I too have been to Gunzenhausen several times, and thanks to Emmy and her wonderful work, I have brought my grandchildren to see their heritage from there, and I have several of my cousins online here today. There's Linda Teilheimer's son of Richard Teilheimer, my uncle, Rachel Teilheimer, daughter of Theodore Teilheimer, my other uncle, and my brother's daughter, Miriam Stoll, and her children, and of course my son David, and my daughter Tekla, and my daughter Kira here. We're just very thankful for what Emmy and Herr Müller have done in making the world aware of what happened in Germany and the changes that have come about since the end of the war, and a true reconciliation of our peoples. I think my cousin Rachel may have something more to say. Thank you.
Walter, did you hear a lot of stories about Gunzenhausen in your childhood?
A little bit from my mother. My grandfather died. Some say he was killed in 33 coming home from synagogue when he was stoned. And the family sold the house in 1935. My father's sister was keeping house for him, and she did die in the camps. Fortunately, the rest of the family was able to get out. I was born in Germany, and my father and mother and brother and I left Nuremberg in 1939 for the States.
Okay, thank you. So Rachel, do you want to add anything to what Walter said? Or introduce yourself, Rachel? Just open your microphone.
Hi, everybody. This is all very exciting. I don't know how well they'll show up, but I might be able to share my screen and show you these pictures of the Teilheimer house being dissolved, the household being dissolved. And you can see, I don't know, can you see it? There's
Yes.
a horse and wagon in front of the house. I think at this point, I'm not sure that Teilheimers were living in that house at that point. Linda's father, Richard, left in 1935 to come to the United States, as far as I know. Linda's here too, and she may want to add. My father was living in Berlin at the time. He was at the University of Berlin. He was, according to what I've been told, the last Jew to get a doctorate in mathematics at the University of Berlin. And the rest of the, Tekla was living in Heidenheim with her husband, and then they subsequently emigrated to Argentina because they could not get into the United States. My father left in 1937, and Waltz mentioned when his parents left in 1939, and Hedel left in 1938. And I think that's everybody.
Okay, thank you very much, Rachel. From Rachel, we'll move on to Carol. Carol, open your microphone. Are you Carol? Yeah. Open your microphone. Okay, I'll open it for you. Okay. Okay, Carol.
I'm unmuted.
Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay, yeah. I'm Carol Adler-Jolnay. There are two other people on the call who are related to me closest. Were from the Eisen family, E-I-S-E-N family. There's Judith Klein, and Pam Brown. Which I'm not sure, she might be on another page. And we're all the great grandchildren of Lazarus Hennick Eisen and his wife Frederica Guggenheimer. And my great grandmother was the oldest daughter, Babette, and she came to the US in 1853. And four of her children, there were 6 children, but 4 of them came to the US and 2 stayed behind in Gunzenhausen, and their children were, well, one of them went to New York and never had children. His name was Lazarus Eisen, and he was on your map. He came to New York and was married to Sarah. And then the other brother was Jacob, and he had a daughter named Betty Eisen Rosenbaum, and she was born in 1908. And I think Emmy got some materials from her. She also was in school with Rachel's father, Rachel Thielheimer's father, who was an amazing mathematician, which that's what she told me. And she sent me the class photograph where Rachel's father was in the class picture. The Eisen family, because their last name is Eisen, when they chose that, their last name, because they were scrap iron dealers and also feather dealers too.
Okay, Paul, how is this meeting for you? What do you feel in this meeting?
Yeah, well, I'm just really excited. And actually, just one weird thing, as I mentioned, that we're related to, so Lazarus Eisen and his wife Sarah, but Lazarus was the son of my great-great-grandmother's youngest brother. But when I found Betty Eisen Rosenbaum, she said to me, "Oh, you live in Wilmette, Illinois. A cousin of mine lives in Wilmette, Illinois." And she said, "Well, his name is Warner Rinsberg." "Oh, but you wouldn't know him because that's not his name. His name is Walter Reed, now Walter Reed." And I said, "Walter Reed? He lives a block away from me here in Wilmette, Illinois, a town of 25,000 people. And I was on a board with him. Our kids were in preschool together. It was so exciting." So he is actually, Sarah Eisen was his aunt, and Lazarus was her husband. And they brought him out here. He lost his whole family, but he was here.
Okay, thank you very much, Carol. From Carol, we move to Richard. Okay, Richard, open your microphone.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, we hear you.
My name is Richard Oppenheimer. I was born in New York in 1950. I now live in Venice, Florida, since I retired in 2002. Both my parents come from Germany. They both survived the Holocaust, but they never spoke about it at home. It was something that was kept a secret from me. My great-grandmother, who was Clara Rosenfelder, was born in Dietenheim, which is a small Ortteil, a small town just outside of Gunzenhausen. It's about 10 kilometers to the south of Gunzenhausen. And I was there in 2011 when I met both Emmy and Franz. Clara Rosenfelder married Elias Oppenheimer, who is my great-grandfather. And Clara moved after she got married to Bad Mergenheim in 1883. But Clara had a brother, Nathan Rosenfelder, who moved to Gunzenhausen, and they had 8 children. Out of the 8 children, 4 were killed in various camps. I'm not sure if Emmy has their names on the map that she put up earlier today. I've traced the Rosenfelder family as far back as I could to the mid-1700s. I go to Germany at least once a year, sometimes twice, and I speak at many of the high schools about the Holocaust. But I'm very excited today because someone was speaking earlier, and I didn't get their name, but they mentioned that Franziska Rosenfelder and Sigmund Rosenfelder are her cousins. Well, they are my cousins too. So I met New Mishpacha today, and I hope they can just send me a hello so I got their name so we can contact each other
That's
later.
Me, Dana. I'm the Rosenfelder.
You're the Rosenfelder.
We're the Rosenfelders, yes. From our
So maybe you can send me your email address later, and we can be in contact with each other.
You have it on the list of the...
I'll send it to you, don't worry. Richard, don't worry, I'll send it to you.
Okay, fantastic.
Hi,
so this
cousin.
is great.
Hi, cousin.
Hi, cousin. Where do you live?
Jerusalem.
Okay, we be in touch.
Me too. I'm a brother.
Oh,
Benny
so
is
we're
my
all
brother, and my other brother is sitting near me here. So it's the 3 of us.
Oh, that's great.
My father's
So Hazel Green, who's one of the screens here, Hazel Green, is the same Rosenfelder Lehmann family also.
My father's best friend in America was the Rosenfelder son from Gunzenhausen.
There were many Rosenfelders, make no mistake, there were several Rosenfelders who all immigrated for Dietenheim when Dietenheim closed the town for Jews.
That's right. That's right. You're the first person. You're the first person, other than Emmy, who knows that I have
We'll
found.
find out later.
Yes. Okay.
Take the time of all people here.
Okay.
Great.
You take the time, but this is the exciting moments that people find that the families are the same, all they knew each other. So we are waiting for these moments. They are the special moments that we all will remember. And other people that also, so thank you very much, Richard.
Oh, thank you. Yasher koyach to you.
Okay, okay. And other people that also found relatives, it's Professor Yoav Etzion. Yoav, open your microphone and introduce yourself to the meeting. Yoav?
I'm Yoav. I'm sitting here with my mother, Shlomit. And we are descendants of the Rosenau family from Gunzenhausen. My great-grandmother, Friederike Rosenau, was born in Gunzenhausen to Josef and Rosa Rosenau, and grew up in Gunzenhausen until she got married, and she moved with her husband to Nuremberg. This is where my grandmother was born in. And my grandmother was born in 1902, and as a child, she spent most of her summer in Gunzenhausen with her grandparents and uncles and cousins. She was very fond of her uncle, Max Rosenau, who was killed in the Palm Sunday massacre in 1934. And my grandmother left Germany to Israel in 1933, and then her younger brother followed a year or two afterwards. Her older brother, Theo Altman, who served in the German military as a bombardier in the First World War, and her older sister, Ilse, was a nurse during the First World War. She tended to wounded German soldiers. And in 1918, she contracted the Spanish flu in the hospital and died from the flu, in the flu pandemic. So that's the story of our family in Gunzenhausen. All the descendants of my grandmother and her younger brother live in Israel. They each had 3 kids, 7 grandkids, and a couple of dozen great-grandkids, all of them in Israel, scattered across Israel.
But you found someone from Rosenau family, no? Through this email.
Yeah, I was contacted by Bobby Ray Hicks, whose late wife turned out to be my mother's 3rd cousin. Her, my mother's, or my great-great-grandfather and her, and Bobby Ray.
For mathematics, you have to know that, yeah?
It's a lot of mathematics. And Bobby Ray's late wife's, I think it was great-grandfather, were brothers. And one branch of the family left the United States, another branch stayed in Gunzenhausen, and later all the descendants left to Israel.
Okay. So thank you very much, Yoav. Is Bobby with us? Bobby, are you with us? If yes, open your microphone. Maybe not. Okay, so from Bobby, we'll move to Faye. Where are you, Faye? Faye, I saw you. Faye, open your microphone.
Okay.
Now we hear you, yeah.
All right. My father was the sole survivor of his family and immigrated to St. Louis, Missouri in 1937. Like many others who have spoken here, he did not speak at all about Gunzenhausen or any part of his past. My brother and I knew it was a very painful experience, so we rarely asked questions or brought up anything. I had gone back to Gunzenhausen as a young woman. I was maybe 21, 22. He was a bit curious when I returned, asked me some questions, but that was really the extent of it. I'm going to relate a story that many of you know about, and which is why I have been back to Gunzenhausen many times. In 2000, my brother got a letter from Bernhard Purin, who was then the museum director of the Jewish Museum in Franconia, that he believed an object that had belonged to my grandfather, and he was looking for descendants of my grandfather, Sigmund Dottenheimer. I should say the Dottenheimers were the wine and spirits merchants in town, and they had a separate house where they kept all of the wine and spirits, we have visited both their home and the separate home. So Bernhard Purin wrote my brother and asked if we were descendants of Sigmund Dottenheimer. And to make a long story short, we restituted a breastplate that was in the synagogue in Gunzenhausen that is from 1661. What had happened is on Kristallnacht, a SS trooper had, along with many other people in town, had ransacked the home, had taken many objects, including the breastplate. He had put it in his attic and told his family that this and a number of other Judaica items were gifts from the grateful Jewish community. Upon his death, his son-in-law took the 6 or 7 items in the attic and gave them to the town of Nuremberg and said that he wanted them to be donated to the Jewish museum that was then being built. So when Bernhard Purin took over the museum, he didn't believe the story. He did some research in Israel and put 2 and 2 together that the item had belonged to Sigmund Dottenheimer. He, every 6 months, he would Google Dottenheimer, no hits, then Dottenheim. Finally, when he input Dottheim, he got my brother. So as a consequence of this restitution, we've gone back to Gunzenhausen numerous times. It was on display in the city museum for a period of time. Now it's on display at the Bavarian History Museum in Regensburg, but it's going to go back to the Jewish Museum in Munich for a special exhibition in 2021.
Okay, thank you very much, Faye. So some of us visited Gunzenhausen, some of us didn't, some of us heard stories from the family about Gunzenhausen, and some of us didn't hear any stories. It's part of the phenomena, Holocaust survivors or this complicated history. So from Israel, America, and Germany, I want to let us move to England. Is Carol Lightman with us? If Carol, open your microphone, we're happy to know you. Carol Lightman, I saw before. Here, I'll unmute you. Where are you, Carol?
I see her.
Yeah, I saw her, but then she moved. Carol Lightman, do you hear me? If you can open your microphone. Now it's Carol Adler. I don't know what's happened. Okay, maybe we'll wait a few minutes. She will come back. Jeffrey Newman, are you here?
I'm here. I'm here on J. Oops, on J5.
Okay.
Can you see me?
Yeah, we see you. Yeah, we see you. But yeah, we see you. Come on. Come on.
I've got a photograph here. Of my mother. She was a young.
Just a minute.
Stop it.
Just a minute.
Too much noise. Right,
There's
that's
a lot
better.
of noise.
I've got a photograph of my mother. She was a Lehmann. The youngest of 6 children. They lived in Gunzenhausen.
We hardly hear you, so I'll try again to unmute you, and then we'll see if we can hear you. Okay, you can start from the beginning. And then we'll see if we can. It's very bad.
Okay.
It's very bad.
Maybe try Hazel instead. It's the
Okay.
same story.
So, Hazel, can you open your microphone, because the other microphone is really bad noise. Hazel, can you open and share us your story?
Hi. Hello. Hi. Carol's my sister. But as you know, I'm currently stranded in Tel Aviv because of the virus crisis, so I don't have any photo to show you or any of the other things. But our mother, Ilse Lehmann, was the youngest of the 6 children of Julie and Ernst Lehmann. Now, she was in the 3rd generation of Lehmanns to be born in Gunzenhausen, because my great-great-grandfather came to the town sometime in the 19th century. He and my great-grandfather were both hops traders, something to do with the Bavarian beer industry, I imagine. But our grandfather and grandmother ran a kind of textile shop, linens, tablecloths, and they lived at Burgstallstrasse 7. And I noticed that the very impressive lady, Shoshana Levy Campos, mentioned Burgstallstrasse as a place where they lived. So I wondered if she might know the Lehmann family. And anyway, I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but the thing that my mother told me about was that her family were witnesses to one of the murders on the Palm Sunday pogrom in March the 25th, 1934. Their landlord was Max Rosenau, who somebody mentioned, and he was actually murdered in their apartment on that dreadful day. Anyway, of the immediate family, everyone escaped. My grandparents and 2 uncles, Volta and Poldi, went to Buenos Aires. One aunt farmed in Kenya. Another ended up in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Another via Palestine to New York. And my mother ended up in England. By the way, she's not on the map either. I'd just like to conclude by saying thank you. A big thank you to Emmy Hetzner, with whom I've had email correspondence, and it's been great to see you for the magnificent school project. Thank you to Netanel. It's great to see all these other Gunzenhausen descendants, and I hope one day maybe we can meet again in person.
Okay, thank you very much. If you're talking about England, Leslie, maybe you introduce yourself. You came originally from England, so open your microphone. You talk to us from Gunzenhausen, so let us know you a little bit.
Okay, my name's Leslie Loy. I'm English. I come from North London. I ended up in Gunzenhausen through marriage. My husband was a born Gunzenhausener, and I live on Marktplatz 24. And I'm friends with Emmy, and many years ago she said to me, can you help us? We need the German text translated into English, because many people, many of the descendants who are now living across the world don't speak German, whereas the students are doing all their work in German. So I've been very happy to do the translations. And of course, it's great fun because I know all your names from the translations, know your stories. And now, of course, I see your faces, which is very, very rewarding.
Okay, thank you very much, Leslie, for your work. And I remember when we met in Gunzenhausen, Emmy's house, in all this day, very good memories from our meeting. Thank you very much. Is Jeffrey Newman with us? Jeffrey?
Yeah, I'm on the line.
Okay,
and I should say, I believe my father, Fred Newman, and my aunt, Judy Green, are also on the line. So we're descended from the Jolson family. My grandfather was adopted actually by a Neumann family. He was born in Munich, was adopted and grew up in Cologne, or Köln, and escaped in 1938 to America, where he was in Chicago and then mostly Los Angeles. Los Angeles, California. So my aunt is still in California. My father is here in Pittsburgh, where we are, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I really want to say thank you for the website that Emmy and her class and all put together, because it was through that website that we were able to find, trace back from my grandfather's adoption to the Jolsons. His birth father was a Jolson. And I think it would have been very hard for us to make that connection if the website wasn't there.
Okay, is Jolson, you have also a relative in Munich, which is a pastor?
Yeah, Walter Jolson.
Walter
so my
Jolson.
grandfather was Walter Newman, but I visited Munich a couple of years ago and got to meet Walter Jolson.
Emmy, do you know his story, Emmy? Because I received an email.
Yeah, I'm familiar with his story. So he was my grandfather's half-brother.
Half-brother, okay.
So he grew up in Germany, whereas my grandfather, grew up in Germany, but then escaped. He was adopted through a Jewish orphanage. He was raised in a Jewish family, a little different than Walter Jolson's story.
I received a very exciting and touching, moving email yesterday from Walter Jolson. He is now 94. He lives in Munich, and he said, he baptized. His father became Christian evangelist. He became a pastor, evangelist pastor. And he says, even though I'm not Jewish or half Jewish, I'm not a stranger to your gathering, but because he's 94, it's too much for him to use Zoom, but it's a very touching story. Now he lives in Munich. I understand he's far relative of you. So this is another story. Is Anthony Burnett here? If yes, just open your microphone. If no, we'll go on.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, Anthony, okay, we are with you now.
Hi, and thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you to Emmy. And you've already heard from my recently newly discovered cousin Franca, who we discovered through the website, and my sister Susan Williams is here somewhere, if she wants to wave. Yes, she's waving.
Okay.
We are descended from Isidore and Sophie Bergman was the family name. She was born Feuchtwanger, not from Gunzenhausen. The Bergmans were a Gunzenhausen family for at least 2 or 3 generations from the family trees that I've seen. Isidore and Sophie ran grain merchants business from Nürnberger Strasse 17. They moved. Isidore died quite young, and Sophie continued to run the business, but moved to Nuremberg, and they had 3 children. My grandfather, my grandmother, Erna, and Ludwig, and Siegfried. Yeah, well done. And basically all of the family moved from Germany fairly early on. I think in the early 1930s.
Our paternal grandfather was an antique dealer and travelled widely.
and so became very aware early on of what was going on with the Hitler regime and potentially what was to come.
Sophie remained in Germany until 1939 and went to the United States to join her two sons who were living in New York. That's about it. I mean, it's the story is more fully written up in on the website, so I won't take up more of your time.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Is Katie here? Katie Veryland? Katie, are you with us? If yes, open your microphone.
Yes, I'm right here.
Okay.
Firstly, thank you for organizing this, and I'm grateful to be included. My uncle Bobby Ray Hicks is listening, but he's unable to speak using his computer. So he has had a great interest in the Rosenau family history, and thanks to Emmy's website, we were able to trace it to Gunzenhausen just within the past few years. And we've been so interested to learn about the Rosenaus in Gunzenhausen, and I took a trip there this past summer with my daughter and husband, and I'm interested to learn more. I read some of the book by Thomas Medicus about the pogrom, and also we've been really happy to connect with Yoav. So thank you, that's all from me.
Okay, thank you very much, Katie. Is James Strauss with us? Strauss? James, if yes, open your microphone. If not, we will continue.
Hi.
James, come on.
Hi, I'm James Strauss. I'm the son of Julius Strauss and the grandson of Simon Strauss. My grandmother, Sophie Strauss. My grandfather was murdered in 1934 in retaliation for testifying at the trial of those people who had gathered at the Strauss Inn and then started a riot, which resulted in the death of several people whose descendants are on the call today. And in July of 1934, several months after the March pogrom, my grandfather was shot and killed in the Strauss Inn in Gunzenhausen, and my father, Jules, was shot. He recuperated, fortunately for me, and emigrated to New York, but he died in 1956, in large part of the injuries that he had received in 1934. I did not know very much about the family in Gunzenhausen until I discovered through the internet the fantastic work of Emmy's classes over a 15-year period. And I went there with friends of ours in 2015, and the students toured the town with us and showed us the sites where all of the horrific events had occurred, as well as the memorial in the town and the cemetery. And we met with the town's officials. They were very, very hospitable. We also stayed in the Strauss Inn, which is now owned by other people who had bought it. It was 1934, so they were able to sell it at that point, I think. I now represent about 35 Strauss descendants who live in the United States. I have 3 children, 7 grandchildren, a sister with several children, and many cousins. They live in Florida. And I'm regretful that I didn't provide them with this information to be part of this wonderful occasion of people speaking about Gunzenhausen and their family.
Okay, we can send them the recording, so it'll be okay.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Is Ronald Landa with us from Queens? Yes, just open your microphone. Amy, I've got a question. Is any one of the young teachers from Gunzenhausen is with us in this meeting, or Anyone from the young teachers? Open
Natal,
the microphone.
Natal, I'm Matthias, and I had invited them, and they are so so hard working with by the coronavirus.
Okay.
They couldn't take part, but they'd say, tell our warm and kind greetings to all of them. We want to continue the work that had been done by Franz Müller and Emmy Hetzner all the years. And they will do it. They are very committed young teachers.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll be happy to know them maybe in one of the future meetings. Is Pauline Sommer from England?
I'm Ron Landau's daughter.
Okay.
I saw Ron Landau's at the meeting, but I don't know if he knows how to unmute his microphone. And my uncle, Julian Landau, I saw also.
I'll try to unmute him. You said about, just a minute.
Julian Landau lives in Israel. He's the one who gave us the links.
Yeah, I'll unmute now Julian Landau. No. But you have to do that also. You have to, okay, now we hear you.
I would prefer my brother to speak about it because he knows a little bit more details than I do. We are the grandchildren of Simcha Bunim Meir, who was called Benno in Gunzenhausen, and the children of Max Landau, who was one of his children. Max, my father, left in 1930, married my mother in Munich, and came to the United States where all of us were born. We have not been back to Gunzenhausen. I think my father was there once, but he could not really take it very much. My mother said that she was afraid he was going to get a heart attack at the time. But in any case, it's lovely meeting all of you. I have corresponded with Emmy for a number of years and sent her a number of pictures, some which she didn't have, which she has put on the website. And it is very nice meeting all of you. Thank you.
Do you hear any stories about Gunzenhausen and your childhood from your father?
No, basically not. My parents never talked about Gunzenhausen.
Okay, like my grandmother. Okay, is Caroline Sommer, are you with us from England? Caroline, no. Okay, Alan Wolf. Where's Alan? Also no. Okay, Dina Bauer is with us. Diana Bauer, come on, you can open your microphone. I'll try to unmute you. Okay, now we hear you. Diana,
okay. I don't know what happened, but I am the great niece of Amalchen Neuberger of Gunzenhausen. Her mother was a Rosenfelder. Her father was a Kaufman in Gunzenhausen. She married my great uncle Simon Bauer from Erlangen, and went to Erlangen. She took her parents to Erlangen. The parents are buried in the Erlangen cemetery. I have seen that. I'm trying to put together a family genealogy, and no, the parents spoke nothing about their experiences in Germany. My father was in Dachau. Simon Bauer was in Dachau. My grandfather, Josef Bauer, was in Dachau. And you had a speaker on who spoke about a cousin that I was in touch with just before he died, Walter Rinsberg, Walter Reed, but we couldn't continue to find more genealogy contacts. He was also related to the Bauers. I know very little about my great uncle, about their life in Gunzenhausen, very little other than they attempted an escape in 1937 and were on a ship similar to the St. Louis, the SS Arinco, that also went to Cuba within the same time frame as the St. Louis. And their Cuban visas were nullified. They did not get off the ship. They returned to Holland, and from Holland they returned to their last abode in Munich, and they were transported on the same day as my grandparents and my great uncle Simon and his sister Louisa Haas, and they were all sent eastward in 1941, November 20th. And my understanding, after 25 years of research and various descriptions of where they disappeared, including an humongous paperwork that my father was looking for his cousins, for his uncle, for any information. So they ended up in Kanos, and they were shot in pits. They were not in a concentration camp, is the final information after 3 trips to the Holocaust Museum in Washington. I'm still interested in putting together the family genealogy, and I have been in contact with Emmy about my great uncle. I do have a lot of paperwork for my father, and I hope to be able to have more information and visit Gunzenhausen. Unfortunately, my last trip to Germany was last November, and my daughter is right now in Frankfurt, but will be leaving soon. It's a pleasure to find all this information, and I am curious to get in touch with everyone to put the lines together of the family history. Thank you.
So this is a moment to say that there is an archive in Gunzenhausen, and anyone who is searching for documents from the archive can be in touch, send an email, and we found a lot of amazing documents about our family, and that's one way. And so this is also important. For some of us, it's like a puzzle that you have to search for pieces and to try to, because there's a lot of hole in the stories, because people didn't speak, not everyone spoke. So for some of us, it's like a puzzle, and you have to search for the pieces.
Nobody would speak about it. Nobody alive, they didn't speak.
Thank you very much, Diana. Is Linda Levy here? Linda, are you with us? Yeah, Linda, come on, open your microphone.
Hi there. Yes, I'm the daughter of Richard Thalheimer, and I pronounce it Thalheimer because he always pronounced it Thalheimer. It was very important to him to become Americanized, and until I talked to my cousin Rachel, who is here, who calls herself Rachel Thalheimer, I didn't realize why. My father never spoke about Germany at all. I went with my husband to visit Gunzenhausen several years ago. I did not get in touch with Emmy. I was like a tourist, and I was fascinated by the town, and I hope to go back someday.
Okay, thank you very much. Martin, do you want to introduce yourself? Martin Meyer, you want to open your microphone and tell us a few words about yourself?
Yeah, it's the first time that I take part.
We hear you, we hear you.
Okay.
You should really come up and look at this even for a minute. It's unbelievable what's going on.
Okay. Martin, do you want to open your microphone and say a few words?
Yeah, if you can hear me. Yeah,
we hear you. We hear you.
Okay. My name is Martin Meyer. I am living in Mur am See, that's about 6 kilometers distance from Gunzenhausen. And wherever I stay and work, I worked as a German pastor for several decades. I now retired. And I'm looking for the roots of our Christian faith, which is the Jewish faith. And wherever I'm living, working, I look for the roots. And so I meet people. And during my work, I stayed for 2.5 years in Israel. That's why I'm writing, speaking, translating the Hebrew language. And if I can do some favors, for example, for Gunzenhausen, I give the small translations from Hebrew to German. I'm looking for the roots of our faith and try to convince that there is no superiority or predominance of our Christian faith, but we are partners. That means a different and new understanding of our faith, looking for the roots and for the common moments.
Okay, thank you very much, Martin. We met also in Israel when you were here.
Yeah.
We both went to Shoshana to meet Shoshana. Also, Matthias also visited Shoshana. Okay, this is my list. Anyone more who wants to introduce himself? I see a few people like Tekla or Pami. I don't know you because you didn't send me emails. But anyone who wants to introduce himself now, this is the time.
I would like to introduce myself.
So open your microphone and
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, hi, I am Alan Kellerman. I live in Houston, Texas with my wife. I'm a psychologist here. And this is a beautiful thing. Nathaniel, thank you so much for putting this together. I see a lot of people that I haven't seen since my childhood, like Kenny and Stu Goldberg, who used to visit, and Shula, and my sister, Nancy Zombek, is on from Florida, and my cousins from Israel, Uri and Duba, and Aaron and Michal. So I have a lot of people that I am connected to that are on this Zoom call.
Alan, we are also family, me and you. It's the first time.
Of course, Nathaniel, yes, and this is the first time I'm meeting you. Nice to know you. So I happened to be in Gunzenhausen in 2009 with with Uri, who arranged for this whole trip, Uri and Duba, and other cousins from Israel, and my wife and my daughter and my sister, and it was quite an experience. And I just thought I would hold up a couple of pictures here. So if you can see this, this is with Emmy, who took us to the Jewish cemetery in Gunzenhausen, and this was the contingent of people in 2009 that went to Gunzenhausen. And then this, I guess, is your great-grandfather's. Yeah, right, that we saw. So I should tell you, I grew up in Malden, and Carl Rothschild lived downstairs. We lived upstairs, and he was my doctor for my whole childhood. And of course, he made house calls. He just had to come upstairs, and I just remember him as being amazing. The first introduction I had to doctors in my life, and I'm really grateful for him and for his wife Henny. It was so beautiful, and so that's my connection. Thank you, everybody. Nice to meet you.
I'm Nancy Zombek, Alan's sister from Florida, Hollywood, Florida. Thank you very much, Nathaniel. My indirect connection to Gunzenhausen is Dr. Carl Rothschild, as my brother mentioned. I found out so much about him that I really didn't know. He was an amazing person. I was very close with him and his wife, Henny. And this brought just a whole new phase and enlightenment. As my brother said, he lived downstairs in our house, and I grew up with Shula. And I haven't seen her in, I don't know, 30, 40 years. So this has been wonderful. It was wonderful to hear everyone's story, and I can relate because our parents came from Germany as well. And as my brother said, we took a trip we were in Nuremberg and Schwäbisch Hall, where my mother was from, and, had similar stories to everyone's. Thank you again, Nathaniel.
Thank you very much. Now it's the time to introduce Sunny. Sunny is not from Gunzenhausen. Open your microphone, Sunny. He's talking from California, but she's first generation. So tell us in a few sentences your story. Okay, Sunny. It's my grandmother's first cousin.
Yes, I'm Sunny, and I was born in Munich in 1934. My mother, Clara Katzenstein, her sister was Thekla, who was married to Karl Rothschild, Dr. Karl Rothschild, and they lived in Gunzenhausen. I never have been to Gunzenhausen, but my mother visited there and helped Uncle Karl when Thekla became ill and eventually died. So I was born in 34. In 38, I was deported to Poland, but the Poles shipped us back. And they didn't accept us, fortunately. And I was living at the time in the Altersheim on Mathildenstraße in Munich. And he was a doctor there because doctors were not allowed to work as doctors in Germany at that time because of the Nuremberg laws. So he took a position as a live-in physician in the Altersheim, the old aged home. And so in 1938, on Kristallnacht, the SS entered our old aged home and arrested everybody and took us to Dachau. My father and mother had not immigrated to the United States because my father didn't want to leave his patients. He was very dedicated to them. So by the time that they realized it was almost too late, it was too late. So I was smuggled into Holland and hidden by the Stein family in Amsterdam. I immigrated to the United States in 1945. And I lived for 2 years with Uncle Karl Rothschild and his second wife, Henny, on 37 Main Street in Malden, Massachusetts, where Uncle Karl had built a practice which started with a lot of his old patients who had immigrated from Gunzenhausen and Munich. And one of the patients was actually Henry Kissinger, Secretary of State, who came from Germany and was a patient, knew the family in Germany, and he was a patient of my Uncle Karl's. So I lived with Uncle Karl and Aunt Henny in Munich with Eva and with Hannah. Hannah is your grandmother. And Hannah was at the time a student at Boston College in engineering. She was an engineer. And Eva was...
Fanny, can you show us your book, just the book you wrote, if anyone is interested, anyone will be interested? Can you show us your book? You have your book next to you, yeah? The book you wrote about your life.
That's correct.
No. He wants to see the book. He wants you to show the book.
Oh, do you want me to show the book?
Yeah.
Can you see this? The title is I Was Born in an Old Aged Home, and it is on Amazon. And I can send you the link or send you some books.
Okay. So Sunny, it's our pleasure that you are part of this meeting, even though you don't come from Gunzenhausen, but it's also okay. We accept you. Yeah, you come from which is not far. So thank you very much. We are close to 8, and we are Yekes, yeah, from Germany. So it's amazing that we're going to finish at around 8. Anyone want to introduce himself that didn't do that yet? Frank?
Yeah, maybe Frank, if I could just jump in.
We are with you, Frank.
Yeah, hi. I'm Frank Mecklenburg from the Leo Baeck Institute in New York. And obviously, Leo Baeck Institute is very interested in all the stories, and we can offer ourselves mainly as sort of the gathering point for all the stories. If you don't have any other repositories, then please send things to us. A few of you I know. I mean, we've been in touch with Faye Brooks and with James Strauss. And so on our website, we have a digital catalog. And so you will find a lot of material, the Rosenfelder family, and also Michael Berolsheimer with this enormous collection of research of communities and families that was already done in the 1930s. And so I just wanted to jump brief in and offer that we are paying attention to what you're doing, and I hope we will be in touch. I'll be in touch with Natania, and so in future more to come.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frank. We'll be in touch with you. Ofra.
Yeah.
Okay, we move to Ofra. Ofra, you can open your microphone and introduce yourself. Where's Ofra?
So I'm going to take off, and we'll figure out the furnace and other things a little later.
Ofra, you
find the power. I suspect it's something just got unplugged.
Shane, we hear you.
I don't know.
Shane.
Or some
Annie,
wiring holes.
just a minute.
I just have to find out where it's getting its.
I'll mute Sunny. Just a minute. Ofra, can you open your microphone? Okay, anyone? Ofra, do you hear me?
Hello.
Judith.
Hi.
Okay, we hear you.
I'm Judith Klein. I live in Beverly, Mass, on the coast north of Boston. And as Carol Zolnay said, she and I are third or fourth cousins from the Eisens, who came to the United States in the 1850s or 60s. Some refer to us as the Mayflower Jews. But my son lives in Berlin, and so we visit there at least once a year. We're planning to be there right now, but because of the virus or not. But I think he would like to connect with some of the relatives in Germany at some point, and next time we're there, we'd like to visit Gunzenhausen. So expect to hear from me.
Okay.
This has really been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Judith. Anyone more? We have another 2 minutes, around 2 minutes to anyone who can introduce himself.
Maybe I'll say something quickly. Oh, sorry.
Abby.
Yeah, I'm Abby Huber. I'm a translator, and I'm helping Shula with translating a lot of letters from her parents, between Dr. Karl Rothschild and her parents, Max Rothschild and Ilse. And I just wanted to mention that it's been very fascinating learning all about the history of some of these families and seeing these letters from the 1940s. And just on Friday, I translated a letter from Zana's mother, Clara, to to Shula's father, Max. So I feel like I think on Friday it was a letter from 1945, and Zana, your mother, was saying that you were doing well up in Malden. So I really feel like I've gotten to know everybody a little bit.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone more? In the last, he didn't introduce himself yet and wants to, you can open your microphone. I see Jacqueline. Who are you, Jacqueline? Did you introduce yourself? Okay, so the official meeting is coming to the end. I just wanted to share with you some of the future ideas. We'll need people to be part of the initiatives, but just a minute, I'll share with you. Okay, ideas for the future. I share with you my screen. So there's a idea to establish a World Council of Gunzenhausen Descendanys. For that, we need people from all different countries. We think about maybe a Gunzenhausen community book in both 3 languages, Hebrew, English, and German. Some of you suggested that we have to do a cemetery renovation in Gunzenhausen because it is in a very bad shape, anyone who visited. I am a group facilitator, so I'm very interested in a Jewish-German dialogue. To have Zoom meetings between people from descendants from Gunzenhausen and together with citizens or residents from Gunzenhausen today. So it's also an idea, and maybe a study of Judaism for the residents of Gunzenhausen. So these are just some of the ideas we think about. I think we had a very, very special meeting for today, and it's amazing that it's exactly 2 hours, like in Germany, like Yekes. Yeah, we are all Yekes. So we started at 6, we finished at 8, the official meeting. I see you all laughing. Now I open the microphones, and anyone to speak and say hello, and you can feel free to leave, and you can feel free to stay. This is unofficial, so I'll unmute all of you, and you can say hello, and you can say whatever you want. I finish now. Anyone? Just a minute. Anyone to want to be in touch with these ideas will need some, of course, my donations or something like that, can be in touch through the emails. We'll be in touch with you. So now I do unmute all, and see that you don't do a lot of noise.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Auf Wiedersehen. Thank you very much. Toda rabah. Fulfilled.
You want to say hi, Miriam?
Hi, Uncle Walt.
Hi.
It's wonderful to
I
hear
wanted
you.
to say that my cousin Kenny is here.
He was there
Where's
before.
Kenny and where are you, Kenny?
Hi, Jeff.
I'm Eva.
Susan, should we meet afterwards?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have future meetings. I think in a month's time or 2 months' time, we'll send an email to everyone, and anyone who wants, we'll have a meeting.
Hi. Hi, Miriam.
Hi.
Hi, Ava.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Annabella. Good to see you.
Emmy. Hi, Emmy.
Emmy, what's
Miriam. I remember. Ah.
Yeah. You remember it was just
Hi.
Emmy.
It's my brother, Chocolate Face.
Emmy, you want to say some few words like to end the meeting? How did you feel? What are your future programs of the school? You open your microphone, Emmy. Okay, now we hear you.
Ooh, I've read your notes. You've written Samuel Green. Hi, I remember to your visit. Miriam, I read. Nathaniel, you're great. He's talented to bring people together. Yeah. Thank you very much. It was amazing. I have one question. Who knows Susanna Eisen? She translated many stories, and suddenly it was over. I've never heard of her. It was a niece or a daughter.
Yeah, I know it's Carol. I was thinking the same thing because
Yeah.
she's related to my side of the Eisens. She may have passed away in California, but I'll check because she
She passed away.
Is
she related to me, Carol?
She's not. She's actually through marriage. She's not related. She's related to a group of the Eisens who, they said there were 4 who came in the 1850s. Yeah. She was married and divorced from a descendant of one of the other brothers.
Oh, okay.
But I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Judith Klein, what happened with her?
Here I am. I'm here.
Yeah?
I can hear you.
What happened with Susanna?
I don't know. I can't place her. She may be related to Carol Tilney and not to me. I'm not sure. My grandmother was Frederica Eisen. My great-grandmother was Henrietta Eisen.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
And you are the daughter of Susanna? No.
No, I'm the daughter of David Klein. His mother was Frederica Eisen.
Okay.
And Frederica Eisen was born in this country. Her mother, Henrietta Eisen, was born in Gunzenhausen.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Actually, Emmy, you don't have her grandmother on the list. She's a sister of Meta Eisen and Edna Eisen.
Right.
But she's only on your list. I mean, she's not on the website.
I remember.
Yeah.
Two sisters listed. There were 3 sisters.
I suggest that any personal questions, all have Zoom, so we can contact, not just now. You can all have your emails in Zoom and point meetings. If anyone has something to say to all the group about feelings, about ideas, we can have an unofficial dialogue now. So if anyone wants to say something to all of us, share some of his feelings or some of his thoughts, that's the time to do that.
This is Carol. I just wanted to say, I like the idea of calling this like the Jews of Gunzenhausen, a block party or something. You know, it is like a gathering of a neighborhood or a neighborhood party. So if we have one again, that's maybe what we can call it.
Okay. Tekla, did you speak any? I see Tekla in your name.
No, I'm Walt's daughter.
Okay.
I live in Oregon. And I keep hearing the name Tekla mentioned with other people, so I hear that it was a popular name way back in the day.
My great-grandmother was named Tekla.
Yeah. Well, I was the only one growing up that I knew.
Okay.
I just wanted to say something to everybody. We, as we live in Germany now, we see a lot of anti-Semitism coming up again.
We don't hear you very well.
And pardon? And we want to do everything. We would like to do everything to prevent that. And so I just said there's a lot of anti-Semitism coming up in Germany at the moment. This is all over probably Europe, and my husband and me, we want to do everything to prevent that anything comes back like it happened in the past. And as we are in the place, we really want to make sure that for not the bad things to come back.
Okay, I muted everyone, so anyone wants to speak, just open your microphone. Otherwise, we have a lot of noise. So thank you very much, Franza, for your words. I think it's the goal of all of us, you know, to defeat the anti-Semitism and to fight for that, and to show the world a different perspective and different values. Okay, anyone more wants to say something to everyone? That's the time now. Just open your microphone, Shula. Okay, open your microphone, Shula. I can unmute you also. Okay, now it's okay. We hear you.
I want to just speak to the 2 pastors. One is Matthias Knoch, and the other man, I don't see his name.
It's Martin, but I think he went down already. He left.
Okay, so I noticed, Matthias, I remember you from the last conversation. You made a big impression on me. I noticed that you wear a kippah, and you also wear a Magen David, a Jewish star. Do you wear that all the time?
Yes, I wear it all the time, not the kippah, but the Magen David. And since I reached in Gunzenhausen and I got to know Emmy Hetzner, I was trying to work on a youth exchange with Israel. And it was a very hard work. And by that, I really noticed that there is only one key for us. And this is really to ask and to beg for forgiveness. This is because I noticed in all the meetings I had with Jewish people since that the Shoah, that the Holocaust is the first thing that is in between us. And this is not, don't do it by purpose. And when I feel ashamed, I don't do it by purpose, but it's just there.
You're
and
right.
We have to try to work with it. And there's another thing I just forgot. I should say very kind and warm greetings from Gerhard Kühnel. he was a pastor. Nathaniel got to know as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's not so familiar with the computer things, so he could not take part right now.
The reason I wanted to talk to you for just for a second and to everybody is because of what Franca just said and her husband. They're very worried about the anti-Semitism today. You are a pastor. We heard from another pastor. Do you think the pastors could make a statement or could do something? Because one of the things that we learned from the Holocaust is that the church didn't take a very strong role in protesting it. And now if we want to learn from the past, maybe, and here we have a wonderful man, you, Matthias, and the other man, maybe you could lead us to learn from this past by doing something now as church people.
So I really think about that. I notice that the pastors in Germany, they are not taken as serious. The role of the church is very, it's not so, you know, it's aside a little bit. But no matter with that, I will take what you said, and we will have to try to say clear words in this direction. And I will take up, you know, we wouldn't be there as a Christian church if there would not be the Jewish people. That, you know, our roots, it's just, the Magen David is a mark of, I feel like a Jew. This actually is, I'm coming from you.
אורי, תסגור את המיקרופון. Yes, Matthias, we hear you. You can continue.
And by this, this is something I just have to think about it. What we are doing, what we are continuously doing in Gunzenhausen is to try to bring Judaism to the publicity. We go to schools, we have had meetings within schools, within, you know, with a great auditorium of students. And this is what we had done last year, what we had done this year. And there is a teacher from Israel, Ilan Katz, he's living in Ma'alot, and he used to come, and as he knows German quite well, he's talking about, you know, what it means to be a Jew today in Israel or there. And this is how we try to work by meeting one another to prevent anti-Semitism. It's one of the worst things we have here. It's, you know, it's not so obvious, and but it's in our history as we are Germans, it's worse than anywhere else.
Do other people in Gunzenhausen feel like you?
Yeah, I think so. I really think so. We, you know, that we had been, that the doors to speak in public had been opened. That actually shows that there is a force within us just to support this work pro-Semitism. And this is actually what we try to do. Those who have this anti-Semitistic minds, mainly they are hidden, and they bring it from a side you don't expect. So what we in public try to do is to work pro-Semitistic also, yeah. Also in the newspapers and in our church papers and all that stuff. And we are working very, very seriously in this. And we tried to have a youth exchange. And last year we had the first exchange with a group of Rishon LeZion. And actually this year there should be another group coming, visiting Israel. But now in behalf of the virus, we don't know how it will go on. but we are thinking of extending these ways of exchange and youth meetings. Even, you know, to say, let's try to have a German group from our area and a group from Israel meeting one another in Auschwitz, and just get in touch with that, you know, with all the things that had happened. And of course, you know, I felt also ashamed when Emmy got retired, that the school did not continue this group, you know, for a couple of years. That was very disappointing, because I thought the group of Emmy Hetzner was like the door to the world, you know. You cannot say anything without touching this item, Holocaust. And the group and the website was just like the door to the world, that Gunzenhausen et al. Could speak again with people in the world. And well, now we have, it was also, it got an impulse by Ilan Katz, speaking at the school of Gunzenhausen, by this man from Israel, because right behind there have been 4 young teachers, and they said, well, we want to take up the work of Emmy and Franz, and we want to continue this work. And I was very happy about it. And they also are thinking about pupils exchange, students exchange from this school. And we really hope that we can go single, maybe small steps, but steps in becoming, you know, reconciliated and live in a community of shalom. And this is something, the last thing I actually want to say. Visiting Mauthausen with a mixed group of youth counselors from Israel and Germany. One principal of a school in Jerusalem said, who are we to stay against this you know, this cruelty we notice here? And I thought, and I told her, no, we are signs of shalom, and shalom is set. It is set from the 7th day on, and that means at the end, shalom will overpower the worst and bad things. And this is really what I do believe. And thank you very much. It's so grateful for me to be invited to may take part in your meeting and even may say something. And I'm so thankful to Emmy Hetzner and Nathaniel and to you, Shalom, and really, and to all the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matthias. Thank you for your warm words.
I think that's what we should do. I think it's wonderful to reminisce. It's wonderful to find each other. But I think we have something special that puts us together. We are all on this because of the Shoah. That's the reason we're all on this, right? Because nobody was able to stay there. And we have maybe a responsibility for the future.
This is what
do something to certainly help Emmy, maybe to help Emmy find teachers, you know, or whatever it is. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel a responsibility, not just a pleasure.
Can I just add something here?
Yeah, Andy.
I feel that we should also, well, I should say that I'm saying this as somebody who's, you know, not very directly affected by, I haven't been directly affected by anti-Semitism in my life, but I do think that we should put it in the context of all prejudice, and it is I think it should be seen as a part of a wider action and awareness of prejudice that happens throughout throughout the world. And you know, there are many instances of it, and in this particular time of the virus, nations should be working together selflessly, sharing information, sharing help, and I get particularly worried about, you know, what will happen in the third world. We can perhaps survive with lockdowns and so on and so forth, but the need to assist our fellow human beings and show humanity generally, I think has never been more necessary in our life, in my lifetime.
Thank you, Anthony, for the worldwide perspective. Anyone more wants to say something to everyone before we finish or we end?
I would like to invite anybody who wants to come to Boston to come visit. I'm serious. Just let me know.
Okay. Shula, I will come soon.
Vakasha.
Okay, anyone, we'll have the YouTube recording of that. We'll send you all by emails. We have the whole meeting recorded. So anyone wants to see or to send it to anyone who wasn't with us tonight, or these meetings, can send it by YouTube.
Thank you and stay well.
Okay, thank you, Walter, for your being part of this meeting.
Thank you for bringing us together.
No problem. It's my pleasure. It's one of my missions is to bring people together.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and grandmothers.
You're off. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Franca. Bye, Shula. Bye, Tekla.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Stay well.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Emmy.
Bye, Judy.
Bye, Emmy.
Bye, Mir.
Bye, Ted.
Diane said hello. She said hello to you.
נתנאל, הרבה יישר כוח.
תודה רבה, אורי, נהיה בקשר.
מצוין.
Mother's Day, Mom.
Thank you. Same to you.
Hello, Franca. Regards to Berlin.
Yeah, all come to Berlin. There's a lot to see.
I'll be happy to come to Berlin.
Yeah, let us know.
Okay, I'll be in touch with you. If I'll come, I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah.
We can meet in Zoom also if you want to. We'll have like a personal meeting. Okay.
Goodbye. Shalom.
Bye, Matthias. Thank you for your warm words. Hello.
And thank you for doing that. Shalom.
Okay, it's my pleasure. Okay, Shalom, Matthias. Ronald, you're still with us, yeah? You have patience, yeah? Tani, you know Uri Kellerman? No, it's not from the same side. No, Sunny and Kellerman.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Sunny, always.
Did you say something? Did you ask me a question?
You're not connected to Kellerman family, no? Kellerman is the other side, yeah?
The Kellermans lived upstairs in 37 Main Street in Malden. I don't know how they're directly connected to me, but I knew them very well because they lived upstairs.
My grandfather was a cousin of Dr. Carl Rothschild.
I see. So so they're relatives of Carl.
Yeah, yeah. And you are from Tekla's side, yeah?
And I lived there for 2 years when I first immigrated to the United States with Uncle Carl and Aunt Henny, who was Karl's second wife. And he was a wonderful doctor. And but he was very, very busy. He hardly ever sat down to eat a bite because he was always worried about his patients.
Nice.
Okay, you can be in touch. Ronald, do you want anything to say?
I have one more thing to say. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes,
it's about my German citizenship. I was born in Munich, and my father was born in Austria-Hungary before the First World War. He served, so the part where he was born became Poland. So I tried to reclaim my German citizenship last year, and I was told at the consulate that I could not because I never was a citizen, since my father was born outside of Germany, although he lived in Germany most of his life. In any case, I was told because they have a patrilineal lineage and my father wasn't technically German, I could not reclaim it. So I was wondering if you could ask Emmy to give me some assistance.
I'll give you Emmy's email, and you can write her email. I'll send you by email her email, and maybe she can help. I don't know.
I just want to say it's a shande that they would exclude me since I was born in Germany, to say that I wasn't a German citizenship when they took it away. Yeah. I don't understand this hypocrisy. So I just wanted to add this.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you for sending me Emmy's email.
Okay, I'll send you, no problem.
It's my cat.
He's also always part of the meeting, yeah? Okay. Ronald, say something where you're with us. Say something. Open your microphone. I can open it. Now I hear you.
Are you asking me to speak?
Yeah, say something. How was the meeting for you?
Okay, my brother was briefly on for a few moments, spoke about my father, who was born in Gunzenhausen in 1906. And right now I live part of the time in New York and Florida. And I'm 87 years old, but I bike ride almost every day.
Wow.
And
don't look like
my beard was black like yours when I was your age. And we visited Gunzenhausen with my daughter and 2 grandchildren about 2 years ago. But we were there at night. We couldn't see very much. It was a very charming town. And Yasha Koach, what you put together, I think it's fantastic, extraordinary. What else can I say? So Yasha Koach, keep well.
Okay. Did you hear any stories about Gunzenhausen in childhood, or no stories about the town?
I'm sorry, you have to repeat that.
Did you hear any stories about Gunzenhausen when you were a child?
No. My father spoke very little. Remember, he left in 1929. He left 1929. Then he went back in 1930 to marry my mother, and then he came to New York. But he never said very much. And anyway, yeah, these are all marvelous stories. Of course, we heard about it was tragic that the American universities and the American government and Roosevelt at the time, when all these atrocities were going on, that nothing was done about the Nazis. Jews were not let in. And well, we know the history. I mean, it was tragic that people were not aware of what was going on. Okay, that's all at the moment.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Hopefully we do this again.
Yeah, yeah, you're amazing.
Thank you, Natan. I'm his daughter.
Okay.
I'm the one who went to Gunzenhausen with him. It was 3 years ago.
You have an amazing father, I see.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, where do you live, Jacqueline?
Bell Harbor, New York.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you my email.
Okay.
Okay, it's I'm an OBGYN, so the email is obgyngen@AOL.com.
Okay. I'll add you to the list because we have a list of emails, so I can add you to the list to get all the emails.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, nice to meet you, family, and be well in this virus.
And happy Mother's Day, Tammy. If,
okay. Tammy is my mother, yeah? Tammy is my mother.
Your mother.
Yeah, I think she's driving now. She's just hearing us.
Ah, okay.
Driving from the north. She went to a hike in the north today.
Oh, wow. Okay, very nice. I have a son right now who's in Israel.
Where?
He's in Chappell's University. He's very religious. He's a shochet and a sofer and everything.
Which university?
Chappell's Yeshiva. No,
Where's
Yeshiva.
that? Jerusalem?
Chappell's. It's in Bet HaKerem in Yerushalayim.
Chappelle? Well, I didn't hear about
Chappell's.
Because I know Jerusalem very well. So now he's learning in yeshiva in Jerusalem?
Yes, he's a shochet, he's a sofer, he's like, you know, very Haredi.
Wow. He immigrated to Israel or is now for...
No, well, he's going to, I think. Right now, he's, I mean, he's also in the Smicha program.
Wow.
He's 25.
Okay. Okay. I'm 46.
Hmm?
I'm 46.
Oh, yeah, you don't look it.
I look 46 like your father looks 87.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm 29.
Oh, come on, you're joking. She's the same age as you. A little older than you.
I'm a lot older than you.
You don't look like.
Okay, so yeah, so my son Max, but he was out on actually on a shidduch date today.
Oh.
With masks, he said they had masks on, and they were 6 feet apart.
Wow.
They went for coffee.
That's because of Corona or because of the way they do dates?
The mask? Oh no,
I mean 6 feet apart.
I mean, no, you know.
How did he become Haredi? How did he become Haredi? So
I don't know if he's really Haredi. I mean, you know, to me he's Haredi, but he's just very interested in
religion.
You know, very interested. You know, he's become very, you know.
And do you have any family in Israel?
Yes, my uncle Julian.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's my father's brother, and he has a whole big family with children and grandchildren and great grandchildren.
Okay.
And my father has a sister there too, Irene. I don't know why she wasn't on the call. And Irene has 6 children, and they all have children. So huge amount.
Okay.
My father's the only one that's not.
Okay, so nice to meet you because of Gunzenhausen.
Yes. Thank you so much. Good
Thank
job.
you very much and see you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.